It's a joy to be able to sit with everyone during these tumultuous times. The world that we live in today is interconnected, and in an ironic way, we are interconnected by the common threat we face to our lives, this coronavirus that has been creeping through our global community, through our human family for several months now. And so to sit through this can hopefully give us the wherewithal not only to be able to live through this, whether we may catch the virus and then die through it, or whether we may catch the virus and survive, or whether we don't catch the virus. Still, by live through it, I mean just to muster what life is giving to us with every breath and be able to live in a way that whatever I am and whatever I have and whatever I do, I can offer to the entire global community as a gift toward healing, as I also work on the healing within myself. And so it is our sitting practice that can give us the source of empowerment to be able to live in that way. So the very first question that comes up in sitting together is, what is Zen? And you've heard me address this question hundreds and hundreds of times. And there are so many different angles that we can take in addressing this question. So for today, I'd like to invite everyone, especially those of you who have been sitting for some time now. You have mentioned how you've been sitting for 20, 30 years, or at least many years. But also those who are sitting just for a few months, to set aside all you think you already know about Zen and listen with fresh ears. Listen with an open heart, with the intention that you are hearing it for the first time. And this is a moment wherein you are called to really open your heart anew and be transformed with that freshness. So with that as our invitation to really listen for the first time, I would like to offer some pointers for us to go deeper into this practice. It is very heartening to hear your introductory aspirations, because I truly resonate with all of them in the way you expressed it. You'd like to come home to the center of your being. You'd like to rediscover and again taste and bask in that stillness that can give us inner peace and that inner strength and empowerment to live and muster through this and be able to thrive in a way that we also are able to gift ourselves to the world and not burden the world with our own woes and pulling others down, but instead precisely be someone who can offer a little light and a little alleviation to those around us. So how can we return to that center, to that innermost core of our being, where we will find our true home, our place of true peace? Each of you who has sat on your own for some time and also in community have undoubtedly tasted that and have continually connected with that in your own way. And that is what draws you to go deeper and to be able to truly access that in a way that it's beyond doubt that it is there and that it is something that continues to empower us in our day-to-day lives. So what is involved in coming home to that center? Going back to the basics, we are instructed to take a posture that is conducive to stillness. And in this case, it is our seated posture. Now, after a while, the bell is rung, and we take another kind of posture. We do some walking slowly so that in that posture of walking, we can also taste that inner stillness and remain rooted in that center that is our home, even in our movements. And that slow walk that we do in between sittings is meant as a launching pad for continuing the same sense of being centered as we now go back to our daily pace of life with its normal speed and with its normal busyness, but still rooted in that place that empowers us to not be grasping, but empowers us to live grounded in that place of peace that can give that peace to those around us. That's the posture of movement. Another posture is the posture of standing still. And we do that a lot of the time without realizing it. Just in standing still, not doing anything, we are invited to just be there and breathe in and breathe out and find that place where we are connected with the earth, connected with everyone that's connected with the earth. And of course, in the posture of lying down to rest, that is also a place where we can return to that stillness. But Sesshin time is a time of giving ourselves this opportunity to sit in that posture of attentive openness, and in that openness, find our way to truly return home. Now, what is involved in that? It's an invitation to return home to where I most truly am myself. Someone mentioned we are called to take away the debris that prevents us from truly accessing that place that is called home. And what is that debris that we have to deal with? Looking at our day-to-day lives, our lives are preoccupied by things that we do. I have to do this thing, I have to get this done, I have to accomplish this or that. So our lives are driven by the multitudes of tasks that face us as human beings. Also, our day-to-day lives are impelled by the sense of having, wanting to have more. We of course need food, basic necessities. We need little things to be able to continue to live doing our day-to-day lives. And so our lives are also spent in seeking to have what we need, what we think we need, and seeking to have more. Then another major part of our day-to-day lives is involved in thinking. Thinking, what should I do next? Or thinking, what does this mean? Or what is this all about? So our minds are always active and preoccupied. Now, the hint there is, as long as we are taken up by doing, by having or wanting to have, and by thinking, we continue to pile up debris that prevents us from accessing that deep core, that deep place called home that can give us peace. So that place of home does not rely on or does not depend on our doing, nor our having, nor our thinking. So we are invited to look at the opposites of those. What's the opposite of doing? Well, of course, not doing. And what does that entail? Be still and know what that is. What is the opposite of having? What is it not to have? Divest yourself of those things that you think are yours, thinking that that consists in your identity. And as you peel yourself from that which is not really yours, you realize that it is not so much in having, but in just being who we are, who I am, that can give us that sense of peace. And again, it's not about thinking. There is a very well-titled book by a Zen master called Buddhism is Not What You Think. And that can be seen on at least several levels. As long as our lives are occupied with our thinking processes, and as long as we think that this is who I am, we are still separated from that core reality that makes me who I am, that can give me peace. So this endeavor, this practice of sitting in Zen is an invitation to undo our doing, to divest ourselves of our having, and to subvert that process of thinking. Thinking entails a mode whereby I am a subject that is conscious, thinking of something about what I think is reality, or what I think the world is all about, or what I think I am. And that presupposes always that separation between subject who is thinking and object that is being thought about. So now our sitting is an invitation to turn that around and not doing, not having, not thinking, just be. Those of you who are practicing with a koan called Mu are given a very, very powerful tool in precisely subverting and overturning that doing, that having, and that thinking, and allowing one who is earnest in that practice of Mu to just come home to nothing doing, nothing having, not having, no thinking, but just Mu. Just sit there and allow that Mu to be the place where you return to. Or those of you who are practicing counting your breath, or just sitting, breathing in and breathing out, allow that way of sitting to just empower you and give you a sense of desisting from doing. For example, as we sit here, breathing in and breathing out, it's not that we're doing anything, it's not that we're doing the breathing, but we realize that even without our being conscious of it, we are being breathed by a power that envelops us and that embraces us and that embraces each and every living thing on this planet and in all planets throughout the universe. That breath somehow happens in me, and all I need to be able to receive its benefits is to be there and allow it to do its work in me. So that is the central point that we are called to pay attention to as we sit here, namely to allow the breath to take place so that we are being breathed and we entrust ourselves fully with each breath. So as you sit there, breathe in without your being the one who's controlling the breath, but just allow the breath to come in, receiving it with the fullness of heart, and then breathe out with that sense of surrender to the breath and trusting and submitting oneself to the breath. And in doing so, it is no longer that little self that wants to control, that we put at the helm, but we are now surrendering that little self to the breath. And as we really arrive at the hilt of that, we are able to find that place where we're not doing anything. We are simply being. In the same way, in breathing in and breathing out, we don't possess anything. We are simply allowing ourselves to be taken over by the breath, so that it is in that openness and it is in that poverty of spirit that the breath can really take over us and enrich us with everything that we can ever need. And regarding thinking, again, that is the subtle movement that keeps taking us away, that keeps sidetracking us. And so that is what we are called to pay attention to, so that it's not the movements of our thought, the movements of our mind that somehow controls us, but that breath or that thought is also given over to the breath. In short, we are invited to center our whole being upon the breath, breathing in and breathing out. And for those who are practicing with the koan mu, let mu be one with the breath, so that breathing in, it's just mu. Breathing out, it's just mu. And as we do so, we reach that place where it is just I am. And as we reach that place that we can recognize, where we know I am, even that I disappears, and it is simply just that. And that, just that, the I am that is exactly the same as just that, cries out in song also in everything around me. The chair, I am. The wall, I am. The sky, the trees, the birds, the dogs, the bugs, I am. In short, the barrier that separates the little I of my subjective self collapses, and that I am embraces the whole universe. And that is where my eyes are opened to realize who I truly am. And as I realize that, there can come that tremendous peace that will reconcile us with the world and with everything, and allow us to see that each and everything in this whole universe, each and everything in this world is kin to me. When I do nothing, when I have nothing, when I think nothing, or when I think not, that is where I can experience this bare fact. I am. And that's where we are invited to roost. I use a term referring to chickens when they come home at night and they just sit and in peace they close their eyes and just roost for the night. So that's the invitation that is being offered to us. as we sit here together. Just roost in that I am and bask in it and realize that that I am embraces each and everything that we hear, see, touch, taste, and feel. So the whole universe sings out together, I am, I am, I am. And in joining that chorus, we jump in jubilation, realizing that is who I am. And in doing so, then in realizing that, then we know how we may offer this little gift of my individual self towards the rest of who I am in the given gifts that I have been equipped with, in the training that I have. Given my limitations, now I know my place in the world. But now we have to discern the particulars of that. What I am pointing out here is an invitation to a transformation based on removing the walls of this little I and arriving at that place of the I am, and that I am then is seen to be truly all-inclusive of everything that is. So as we sit here together in our different places, Florida, California, Pennsylvania, Texas, throughout the geographical place that we are connected. We're connected by the breath, but we are connected in a way that we are led by that breath to that realization, I am, and that I am embraces each and everyone. So for those of you who are practicing with the koan mu, the question, what is mu, invites you to realize that place that I just described, to come home to that place where there is nothing but I am. And in realizing that, and in appropriating that, and in experiencing that, our eyes are transformed to see things just as they are. I would like to close by recounting a conversation between an emperor in China and the legendary Bodhidharma, who brought Zen or Chan from India to China and then allowed it to spread through the neighboring countries and eventually to the rest of the world. When Bodhidharma was new in China, well, he may have been there for a few years, but he had quietly found a cave where he was able to sit and where he could find provisions for what he needed. And the villagers would also offer him what he would need, knowing that there was a holy man from the western parts who is here meditating in a cave near our village. And so they took care of him. And so that's how he was able to continue his sitting for some years, they say up to 9 years. And during that time, his reputation grew. And the Emperor Wu of the Kingdom of Liang heard about it. And this emperor himself was a devoted and earnest person who wanted to do his best for his people. And he also was a seeker of truth. And so when he heard that there was this sage who came from India, who came from the western parts, and the sage may be able to offer him some wisdom, he invited that sage, and through his emissaries, Bodhidharma came and met him at his palace. And when they were in their face-to-face encounter, the first question of the emperor was, Please, sir, please teach me. I've heard about this teaching called Buddhism that many people, many monks have brought from the Western parts also, and they have established temples, and I've been supporting those temples. They now have monasteries. I've been supporting those monasteries. So please tell me, what is the central teaching of this Buddhist uh, message, or what is the central message of this Buddhist movement that I have been supporting? It's translated in different ways in the Koan, but one translation is, what's the highest principle of the holy teaching? What's the core message that you come to bring to us that will give us peace, that will give us what we are looking for, that will give us what we need to enlighten us and enable us to live at peace and with joy and with happiness and gratitude? Please tell us the secret. What is the principle of the holy teaching? Asks the emperor. And Bodhidharma answers, vast and void, no holiness. Vast and void. Another translation goes, vast emptiness. Vast as vast can be, and unfathomably vast. Wider than the extent of the universe as far as you can imagine. That's the principle of the holy teaching. That I am, that place that we call home, whereby we are truly at peace. Bodhidharma's hint is, that's vaster than anything you can ever imagine. So let us sit with that realization that we are sitting in the vastness of the universe and allowing that vastness to turn into our very home, so that we are at home throughout the universe wherever we are. And as we find our being at home in the universe, everyone and everything in the universe is our kin. And we will feel the natural pain and sorrow at those suffering with illness. We will also celebrate in joy for those who are celebrating because they have recovered, or because there is something new in their lives that causes their joy, so that we have now removed any barriers that prevent me from seeing my true self in everyone else. Vast and void, no holiness. I will take these words and develop them and point out what they imply for our practice in tomorrow's presentation. But for now, let us continue just coming home to that place where there's no more doing, there's no having, and there's no thinking, but it is just breathing in, breathing out. I am. Breathing in, breathing out. Move. Breathing in, breathing out. Just this. Those are all clumsy words that are pointing to a place that will give us the peace we are longing for, and that will give us the sense that it's worth my having been born on this earth just to realize this. And now I can give myself fully in whatever way as my gift to the rest of the world, having found what I need to find. So let us continue helping one another in that self-discovery that can give us joy and that can enable us to gift our lives with a fullness of heart to one another. Let us now return to our sitting in silence and allow that place to well up and fill our hearts with joy and peace.
boundless compassion.
Absorbing yourselves awaken this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha Dharma Sangha, just compassion. Bless the pure heart always rejoices. In the light we call it, in the dark we call it. Movement after movement, one true heart of Christ. Time after time, there is nothing but this. Absorbing yourselves awakens this Buddha, source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha Dharma Sangha, just compassion. Bless the pure heart always rejoices. In the light we call it, in the dark we call it. Movement after movement, the true heart of Christ. Time after time, there is nothing but this. Absorbing yourselves awakens the Buddha right here. This Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha Dharma Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In the light we always, in the dark we always, moment after moment,